Hello, welcome to the RCC Library Services Orientation. This video will cover some of our most used online resources. You can access everything covered in this video from any device with internet access. To get started, navigate to the RCC College homepage at www.rcc.edu. Under the Student Support section, click on the library link. This will redirect you to the RCC library website, where we have lots of different options for researching online. Before we get started with some of our databases, I wanted to point out the new Chat with the Librarian feature that we have. So if you get stuck on any of this or have any questions, you can always use this box to ask questions of a librarian. And any time that we are open, where chat is available, Monday through Thursday, 7:30 a.m. to 8 p.m., Friday, 7:30 to 4, and Saturday, 11 to 4 p.m., a live librarian will be on the other end and will answer questions that you may have. If you're inquiring about things and it's after hours, your question will be put into a queue, and the next available librarian that logs in will get to your question. So you can ask a question at any time, but it won't be answered again until our chat is back available. If you scroll down from here, you'll notice that we have a list of our databases A to Z. These are databases that the library has paid for, and you can access for free online. The first one I'm going to show you is called Academic Search Complete, which is the largest of our interdisciplinary databases. When clicking on any of the databases from home, you'll be prompted for a username and password. So we're going to go ahead and click on Academic Search Complete. You'll notice it asks you for the user ID and your password. Your user ID is going to be your 7-digit student or faculty ID number. This could be found on your student ID card. And the password is going to be the first initial of your first name and up to 6 letters of your last name, all in lowercase. So I'm going to go ahead and enter my information here, but each person will have to use their own user ID number. There are many functions once you get into the database. I'm just going to cover some of the very simple ones that will get you started. You'll notice there's multiple search boxes here, and I'm going to show you how to use these. To start, we're going to start with a quick search of global warming. And hit search. Now this is searching thousands and thousands of different articles in this database at one time. So broad searches such as this will give you a very large return. So this gave us 19,715 different articles. One way to start to limit this, to get a smaller number so that you're not having to pore through 19,000 different articles, is to tell the system that you want to find this entire phrase. Now if you put more than one word in the search box, you're going to want to put quotations around the phrase so that the system knows to give you only articles that have the entire phrase and not these words in different places in the article. So for instance, if you put quotations around global warming, you'll get probably a few less than we have here. So you notice that cut a couple hundred out of the returns. The next thing to look for would be on the left-hand box here under Refine Results. Again, there are a lot of options on here. A couple of the more powerful ones to look for are right up here towards the top. You'll always want to make sure that full text is clicked to make sure that the articles that they're showing you are actually the full articles and not just a short record of them. You'll also notice that the publication date is highlighted here. So if you're looking for more recent information, you're going to want to make sure that you drag this over. I'm going to use an example of the last 10 years here. And you'll see this significantly cut the number down when it got rid of some of the older articles. Another option is the button that says Scholarly Peer-Reviewed Journals. If an instructor is requiring that you find scholarly, academic, or peer-reviewed journals, you can simply click this button and it will take all of the articles out of here that are not scholarly peer-reviewed. Now 6,000 is still a big number, and so I'm going to show you another way to further limit this. You'll notice that there are multiple search bars separated by the word and. And for this, we're going to just leave this to and we're going to type in another search. And I'm going to do a search for CO2, which is carbon dioxide. Now what this is doing behind the scenes is doing a search for global warming and a second search for CO2. And it's only showing us the articles where both of these words or phrases are present. So I'm going to hit the search bar again. And you'll notice that it retained the refined results that we had. So all of these articles shown are all written in the last 10 years. They're all scholarly peer-reviewed journals. They're showing us the full text, so it's going to have the entire article. And we know that all these articles has the phrase global warming, and it also has CO2. So now we're down to 705 articles, which is not too bad of a number when you're dealing with a subject this broad. At this point, you can start scrolling through and seeing if any of the titles touch on what you're looking for. When you find something that looks like it's something you could use for a paper, you click on the title, and you'll be given some more options. One piece to note is the abstract. Abstract is just a fancy word that means nothing more than summary. So you can get a summary for the entire article by reading the abstract. And if this is still something that you'd like to use for your paper after you read this, make sure that you do two things before you move on. You want to make sure that you save the article in some way and that you get the citation that you need for the article. All of the databases are going to have functions to do either one, sometimes multiple functions. So for this one, for instance, under Tools, you can export it right to a Google Drive if you have a Google account. You can email it to yourself if you have any email account. You can save it to your desktop. So there's multiple functions and ways to save it. There's also a Cite button here where you can get the citation that you need for your paper. I'm going to click on Citation and show you that there's lots of different options. The most common ones are going to be APA or MLA. And these can be copied and saved directly into your Word document or whatever document you like to type. Okay, we're now going to switch to a different database in our collection. You can get to the database list by going to rcc.edu and clicking on the library link that I showed at the start of this video. Or you can go directly to the home page of the library by typing in library.rcc.edu into the address bar. The next database I'd like to cover is called ProQuest US Major Dailies. So we're going to scroll down to the P's. And here it is, ProQuest US Major Dailies. We're going to click on this, and we're going to be prompted again for our user ID and password. And this will give us access to the database. Now that we're logged in, you'll notice that the functions look very similar to Academic Search Complete. But we're logged into a different database, and so we're searching completely different articles. In this case, we're searching hundreds and hundreds of different newspapers nationwide, as well as some international newspapers. And you notice this has similar search box functions. I'm going to start with a simple search for global warming. And again, we're going to use the quotations to tell the system to give us only articles that include the entire phrase global warming. And we're going to hit search. You'll notice that we got 66,000 results, which is significantly higher than the academic search complete search that we did for global warming. So it's going to be more important for us to limit these. I'm going to show you a function or a way to do what we did in the last search by combining multiple search functions, but using a single search bar. If you remember in the last search, we did global warming and CO2 in multiple search boxes. But you can do the same search in one box by simply separating the phrases by the word "and." So this is telling the system to find articles that say global warming and to find articles that say CO2 and only show us the ones that entail both of these results. So you'll see again, by doing this, we've limited the 66,000 down to 2,363. And again, there are tools on the left-hand column here to further refine your results. There's a couple of ones to note when you're searching for newspapers. One very important field is the publication date. If you're searching for a specific event and you know the date of the event, you can limit it by a specific range. Or if you're looking for newer articles, you can slide this tab over and get articles that were written. In this case, I'm going to do the last 10 years. And in here, you have to hit the update button for it to refine the results. Again, we'll want to make sure that the full text button is checked so that we're finding articles where the database includes the entire article and not a short record. Another field of note is the location. Location can be very important when searching for newspapers because you'll get very different types of reporting depending on the location of the event that you're looking for. So for this particular result, I'm going to click on California. And this is going to tell the system to show us only California newspapers. And we've also told it to give us only the last 10 years and only articles that include the entire phrase global warming and the word CO2. So you can see from 66,000, just by using a few of these limiters, we've got this down to 112 different articles. And at this point, you can start scrolling through and seeing if any of the titles touch on what you're looking for. Again, as in Academic Search Complete, you'll want to do two things when you find an article that you want to use. You want to make sure to save it and get the citation. So I'm going to click on the first title here. And you'll see that there's an abstract, which again is the summary of the article. This shows the entire article here and highlights the phrases that we searched. You'll notice this also tells us where this was originally published. So this was a Wall Street Journal article published in July of 2012. And you'll notice up here on the right, there's going to be different options to save it and cite it. So you can save it as a PDF here. You can email the article to yourself, or you can print it. There are additional options for saving as well under All Options. And then to get the citation, you'll click on the Cite button and choose the citation type that you would like. The default is MLA 8th edition, which is here. Another popular option is the APA. You can highlight the entire citation, right-click, and copy it. And then this can be pasted into whichever document you like to use for writing. The next database I'd like to show you is titled Gale Virtual Reference Library. This database includes dozens of encyclopedias and other specialized reference sources. We'll access it the same way we did the other two databases, by going to the library homepage. And we're going to scroll down to Gale Virtual Reference Library. We're going to log in the same way we did for the other two databases. Once you've logged into the Gale Virtual Reference Library database, you can browse the collection included by clicking on one of the predetermined subject headings on the left-hand column, or you can do a search for a unique subject by typing it in the included search bar. So I'm going to do a search for global warming, as we did in the other two databases. And I'm going to put quotations around the phrase, telling the system to give us only results that include this entire phrase. You'll notice this search gave us a number of different results, 1,437 to be exact. And all of these are encyclopedias and other specialized reference resources. For instance, this top one is from the International Encyclopedia of Social Sciences. And when you click on the link, it'll bring you to the specific point in that publication where the article for global warming is. So for instance, in this one, it's volume 3, second edition, and it is jumping to page number 327. Once you find the article that you're looking for, again, to make sure you do the two things, which is save it and find the citation. There are a number of functions and ways to save. You can do a Google Drive save by clicking on the icon here. There are also options for the Microsoft Cloud, sending it to any email account you may have, or downloading the PDF directly to your computer. If you look towards the top, there is also a Cite button included. It will give you all the most popular citations. Again, this has the MLA 8th edition and the APA 6th edition included. We're going to select the MLA 8th edition, and you can copy this by right-clicking and clicking the copy button, and then pasting this directly into your Word document. This should get you started searching some of our most common databases included in our subscriptions. Again, if you have any questions or you're not finding articles that you'd like in these databases, you can always go to our library homepage and use the chat function to speak directly to a librarian. Thank you.